Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. You're listening to the platform. No, this is going to be the real 3, 2, 1 now. Excuse me. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to the Platform Launchers podcast. So glad to have you with us this week. I'm recording this week's show, like I do each week, in front of our members club, which means that I'm sort of operating without a net, but everyone is gracious here in the group. And I just wanted to introduce our members club to you. So if our members club would just take a quick moment to say hello to those listening on the podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Hello from Michigan.
Hello from Georgia.
Awesome. I'm really excited each week to record this in front of our group. And it's a very different context to be able to record a podcast in front of a live audience and to have everybody on here. When I record my other podcasts, I'm doing that basically by myself. And if I goof anything up, I can do a re-edit or a retake or whatever. And when you have a live audience, you don't necessarily feel like you have that liberty, although sometimes they know that I take that liberty. In fact, I even had to do that tonight. I got off to a false start here, but now we're good. But we're grateful to have you on the show with us this week. And this week, we're going to be talking about 3 specific words. We're going to be talking about information, inspiration, and accountability, and why it takes all 3 to succeed. And I want to share some personal stories and even an example related to what we've got going on here in Platform Launchers that I hope will be encouraging and helpful to you. And I want to start off with just something personal. So several years ago, I reached a very interesting point in my personal journey toward developing an online platform. I had come to the point where I felt like I had done all I could think to do, and I wasn't really sure where I wanted or needed to take my platform next. And I was at a very interesting point because I was several years deep in this journey. And by the numbers, if you saw the numbers, you would probably say, okay, I was certainly enjoying a healthy amount of success. But I was feeling like something was lacking. But by the numbers, my podcast downloads were in the millions at that point. So that would sound good, right? Healthy traffic was visiting my blog on a daily basis. I was earning advertising revenue, and I had other streams of income in place at that point. And on top of that, and this was a really big deal to me, but I was offered at that point a book deal with the largest publisher in America, Penguin Random House, and it came with a very generous advance. And so by the numbers, I think all of that looks good. I think all of that sounds really good, but I'll be honest with you, something felt like it was missing. I felt like I needed something more to keep me moving in the right direction because I was, in all honesty, I feel like I was trying to do too much on my own. That, by the way, is kind of the pattern for my life. I often find myself in that spot. But up to this point, what I was doing was I was generating platform ideas and I was generating platform inspiration and some of the approaches that I was taking. I was generating that from books and from blogs and from videos and from other podcasts. And I found that immensely helpful. And I still look to these as helpful sources of information. But I also sensed that I needed more accountability and I needed greater interaction with other people who spoke my language. And I didn't know too many people who wrote, and I didn't know too many people who recorded podcasts. In fact, at the time when I would reference the fact that I was into podcasting, a lot of times people would look at me and they would say they didn't really know what that was. I certainly at that point didn't know a whole lot of people, really, maybe anybody that earned an income online. And so thinking about these things, I basically went on a search to find them. And so I started attending business conferences and started attending business retreats and other events like that. I joined a business mastermind and other groups. I started carving out time for lunches and meetings with other entrepreneurs. And basically in the process, my overall platform continued to grow and I regained the motivation to keep working on it because I was connected to people who were also doing the kind of things that I'm doing. And so I bring that up because if you're attempting to build an online platform and you're attempting to do that through writing or through speaking or through coaching or through podcasting, I'd like to point something out to you that you may know already, or maybe you don't already know it. But if you'd like to experience long-term success in these areas, you're going to need to find sources of information, sources of inspiration, and sources of accountability. And in my opinion, it takes all three to succeed when you're building in an online platform or a message-based business. If any one of those three ingredients is missing, you'll miss important opportunities and you'll make unnecessary mistakes. And I think you'll waste valuable time and maybe even lose momentum. And you definitely don't want to do that. In fact, that's what I was really concerned about when I got to a certain point. I thought, I don't know who else to interact with this sort of stuff. And I felt like I was starting to lose momentum and my creativity was starting to wane. And when I found other people that speak the same language and made myself accountable to them and started, really focusing on the information I was gathering and the inspiration and the accountability, things worked much better. And so let's fast forward a little bit. And when I decided to start Platform Launchers, I wanted to make sure it was structured to provide all three, the information, the inspiration, and the accountability, because I know it takes all three to succeed. And I wanted to make sure that our members had the opportunity to experience each element. And I'm also noticing this, or maybe I should say, I'm also mentioning this because I know that you may be thinking about creating a membership community of your own someday. And in fact, before I started recording here, just for fun, I asked our members club live on the call here with us. I asked them if anyone in the members club was thinking about developing a membership community. And I would say 75% of the people that are live on the call raised their hand. So I'm mentioning this because those of you that are listening to the podcast or watching this video, you may be thinking about creating a membership community of your own someday. And so I'm just going to take a moment here to explain how I'm trying to incorporate each of these facets, the information, the inspiration, and the accountability, into the membership community that I'm leading to help people develop platforms. So let's start with the information. I think most people who join an online membership community initially join for information purposes. That's certainly been my personal experience. And I think that's also what I notice a lot when people first join Platform Launchers. I think a lot of people, they join an online membership community initially for information. And I actually think that's a very logical starting point because we all learn, or we all want to learn, what it takes to make our businesses better. And when people join our members club at Platform Launchers, they'll certainly learn how to build and how to grow and how to monetize their online platform. That information is here for them. And my goal is to present everything I know and everything I'm learning in very digestible ways. And so the way we do the information side of all this, we start off by, first of all, hosting live training each week. And that's actually what we're doing right now. The podcast is part of that live training. We record it live in front of the group every week. So I host live training each Tuesday night is when we do the recordings. And it teaches concepts that our members will need to learn if they're developing their platforms. And then I record that training so it remains in an online training vault inside our membership website. And then I host monthly office hours. Sometimes I host a couple in a month, but I host at least one monthly office hour to answer general questions that our members have. And then I have a 7-class course called The Launch Plan that explains all the key elements of developing and monetizing an online platform. And then each month I invite guest experts to share their wisdom with our members club. And I put this all under the membership, or maybe I should say the information umbrella. And this is a lot of information to make available, but I think it's helpful and I think it's necessary. And that vault of information continues to grow month after month. We actually have quite a few hours of video content now in that training vault. And it would take you a while to work your way through it, but there's something on just about every topic at this point, which is, I hope, helpful. But then the second aspect, the second word that we're talking about tonight, is this idea of inspiration. And I think if we're going to succeed with our efforts to develop online platforms, we need something that's more than just information. We need that inspiration. And in fact, this is one of the primary benefits of being part of a membership community. I think this is one of the primary benefits of being part of our members club. What happens is when like-minded, message-based entrepreneurs get together, they start to share their stories. What ends up happening is they inspire one another to succeed. On our weekly calls, we also celebrate our wins. It's actually the first thing we do usually after we greet each other on these calls. We celebrate our wins and we talk about the progress that we're making week to week, step by step as we're taking action and we're working on our platforms. We do this to encourage one another. We do this to inspire one another. It's inspiring to watch each other succeed. And actually, I have to say, as the one leading platform launchers, it inspires me as well. And when you see people doing things that took effort and it took thought and it took dedication, and then they're succeeding, I think we all feel inspired from it. I think it's also inspiring when we directly observe people that at one point would have described themselves as platform development novices, and then all of a sudden they become proficient, and then they start becoming experts. I remember, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but I remember MJ, one of our members, a few weeks ago, she said that she was talking to a group of people and she started referencing a bunch of things. And they said to her, "How do you know all this stuff? Like, where's this all coming from?" And I know that a lot of that comes from our conversations that we have in the group and the things that we're inspiring each other with and the things that we're all talking about. And it starts to become almost like a second language. And as we watch one another succeed and we feed each other ideas and inspire one another, I think we're all reminded that we can succeed as well. We end up succeeding together. That ends up being an inspiring facet of being part of a membership community. But here's another thing that we need. And this is a biggie. And this is something that you can really only get if you make yourself a little bit vulnerable to other people. And that's the accountability piece. So I think in addition to information, which is valuable, in addition to inspiration, which is also valuable, we need accountability. I actually think we all need accountability. And in fact, I actually think this is the secret ingredient that propels people forward at the most rapid pace. So if you have information, that's going to help you. If you have inspiration, that's going to help you. But if you add accountability to it, it will indeed propel you forward at the most rapid pace. When you make yourself accountable to others, what you're doing is you're actually setting yourself up to succeed, because you're going to have to answer to the people that you're accountable to for what you do or what you don't do. And I mention this to our members club all the time. This comes up in conversation quite frequently. And I think that they provide great proof that what I'm saying is true, because there are a variety of people who have joined Platform Launchers since it started. And there are some people that join our members club, but they only use the video replays of our training calls. And I'm grateful that we're able to make those training call videos available for them. That's why they're there. I want everybody to use those things. And I hope that those that have joined that are just using the video, I hope that they're doing well. But here's the truth. I don't really have a good way of knowing how they're doing, because that's information that they keep to themselves. So they use the video, they keep that information to themselves, how they're doing or how they're not doing. And that's obviously up to them. But here's the thing I've noticed. Those who make a habit of joining us for our live calls. So the people that I asked to just kind of say hi to you just a few minutes ago, right? That are right here on the call with me as I'm recording this. Those people, that group of people, it's actually become a very consistent group of people. It's almost predictable to me who's going to be on our calls week to week, because there's some people that take the biggest bite of this apple, and they're doing great. In fact, I can point out multiple people who have made significant advances in their platforms over the course of the past few months. And we have people in the group that were not earning an income, but now they are. And some of them, it's actually a noticeable amount. There are others who were struggling to connect with an audience, and now they found one. We also have other members who needed help to refine their message. Several members recently said that one of the things that the accountability this group is helping them with is refine their message. And so because of that accountability and that feedback they're getting from the group, they're finding clarity. They're refining what they're building their platform around. And much of this has come because they've invited the group, and they've invited me. They've invited members to speak wisdom into what they're building. And accountability noticeably propelled them forward. It makes you move at a faster pace because you're doing this 1 week at a time, knowing you're going to come before a group of people that may ask you about the thing that last week you said you were going to work on. And then all of a sudden you're here, another week goes by. It's like, hey, you said you were going to work on this. How did it go? Hey, you said you were going to buy a new piece of equipment. Did you buy it? Hey, you were going to develop this aspect of your platform. Did you launch it? And so accountability really does noticeably propel people forward. And I'm convinced that those that join us for our live calls really get the most benefit out of what we're actually doing together because of that accountability piece. I think the inspiration is pretty key there too, but the accountability, I think, really propels us forward. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, or if you're watching us via video, and you're in the process of building an online platform or a message-based business, please let me encourage you to find sources of information, inspiration, and accountability. Be very intentional about all three, because this can make or break what you're building. I believe that this is one of the major reasons that some of us succeed and some of us don't. And if Platform Launchers seems like a good fit for what you're building, we would love to welcome you to be part of our community. I'm certain you'll find the information, the inspiration, and the accountability that you need to build something really special. And if you haven't checked it out yet, head over to platformlaunchers.com. You could take a 2-week test drive of everything we're doing here. You could access the full member vault videos, the launch plan information. You could join us for a couple of our live calls while you test it out and see if it's a good fit for you. We also have time each week, and we do this right after we record this podcast live. We have a members only Q&A. And we don't make that available via the podcast. That's something that's only available inside the membership, but we host it live immediately right after we record these episodes. We jump right in. And so this is what our topic is going to be tonight: how to incorporate information and inspiration and accountability into our platforms, whether we're developing membership communities or doing other things. We're going to be talking about that. We'd love to invite you to be part of those members only Q&A sessions. And you could take a test drive, like I said, join us for a couple of weeks, see if it's right for you. You also have full access to the 60-minute video replays inside the training vault. We think it's a great value, and we'd love to have you on board. So again, stop by platformlaunchers.com to check it all out. But that's it for our podcast today. It's time for our members-only Q&A, so we're going to jump over to that in just a second. But thanks again for listening this week, and we hope to catch you again next week. Take care.